I'm Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome, welcome, extra welcome. And if you haven't already done so, please push the subscribe button so you can stay connected and continue to receive all my uplifting tips and tools on a weekly basis. And even tune into my podcast, which will be posted here soon. So today I want to talk about how to take care of your anxiety, especially if you're an empath, an intuitive, a sensitive, because we by nature are pretty anxious. So the first thing to understand is our anxiety isn't a problem. It's just an awareness of other people's energy running through our nervous system. So there's nothing wrong with us. We just have to understand our nature and make choices that keep our nervous systems from getting overloaded. Because there is something called emotional contagion. And emotional contagion is that human beings, science has discovered, actually can exchange emotions as easily as they can exchange viruses. So can you believe that half of what you're feeling, half of your anxiety, may not even be your anxiety? That's a big awareness for a lot of people, that they're just channeling group anxiety or generic anxiety on the planet. And so how do I stop that? Because it's not serving you. Well, the first way to stop that is to move your body. It's really helpful to go for a walk, because when you move your body, you start moving this energy out of your nervous system. And ideally, you'll go for a walk. You don't have to go for a run. You don't have to go to the gym. But walking for 10 to 15 minutes when you're feeling an anxiety overwhelm is extremely helpful. Now, of course, this is something that you do if you wake up anxious or you're feeling anxious in the day. It's not necessarily something you can take care of at night. I mean, I don't advocate everybody wandering around the city at night because you're having an anxiety attack. So if you're in the night, what you want to do if anxiety wakes you up, and sometimes this happens like 3, 4 o'clock, it's because now that your body is started to unwind, all that anxiety you absorbed during the day that you didn't process wakes you up. So a couple things to do. The first is to actually get up rather than fight it and sit in the dread and the free fall energy that goes along with it. Get up and start writing. Just down what you're anxious about, not necessarily concerning the solutions. I don't know what I'm anxious about. I have a terrible feeling of dread. Something's changing. I can't put my finger on it, because what'll happen is you'll start separating intuition from just generic anxiety. So usually 15 minutes of writing will calm the anxiety, begin to channel and move this energy into a more clear space. If it's intuition trying to get your attention, that'll come out in the writing. And if it's just generic funk in the air and it's in your nervous system, that will go out with the writing. So 15 minutes of writing. I know it's hard to get up in the middle of the night, but it's better than sitting there in free fall. Plus, you can go back to bed after that and you usually fall asleep. The other thing that helps an anxiety attack is to take a shower. It really soothes and grounds the nervous system. So I recommend a before bed shower. It really helps take that nervous energy and that anxious energy out of your aura, out of your field. And when you're showering before you go to sleep, imagine that your nervous system is releasing and purging everything that doesn't serve you, doesn't uplift you, doesn't belong to you, everything that you can't address in the moment. So you just give your body permission to release it. So this is another big reset. Next, ask yourself specifically, and this is something you can do out loud when you're having an anxiety attack, is to start naming your fears out loud without peeling them apart layer by layer. Just identify them. I'm anxious that I am not in a relationship. I am anxious that I don't feel comfortable where I live. I'm anxious that my job doesn't suit me properly. I'm anxious that my back hurts. I'm anxious that I haven't talked to my friend in 6 weeks. I'm just name them out loud. This is what I call emptying the trash. Just naming what you're afraid of, what you're anxious about. I'm afraid of, I'm anxious about. And you can even say, I'm anxious about, I don't know. It's just a feeling of dread. By naming it, you're actually vocalizing and consciously addressing this feeling, and you take charge of it. And then exhale. I'm anxious about. I'm afraid of. Vocalizing out loud really allows fear that's haunting you and hiding in the crevices and corners of your inner self to come out and stand in the bright light of your attention. And it's interesting, it's not actually fear that causes you trouble. It's hiding fear. When you start to acknowledge it, it shrinks. A lot of my clients have said, I don't want to acknowledge that, I don't want to put power into it. But you're not putting power into it. You're not saying your fears are facts. And do know that. These are fears. These are not facts. That also helps. Now, here's a couple of other things. Alcohol definitely contributes to anxiety. So if you have a lot of anxiety and you do drink alcohol, give it a rest for 3 days and see if your anxiety subsides to any degree. That's just good information to have, because then you can make choices to say, maybe it's the alcohol burning off as I'm resting or sleeping that's causing this anxiety. Maybe I'm thinking if I have drink that I'll calm down, but in fact it's exacerbating my problem. The other thing, believe it or not, that increases anxiety is dehydration. Drink a lot of water. Try to drink 12, 14 glasses of water a day at room temperature. You don't have to guzzle a liter down at once. Your body and your kidneys can't really absorb that very well anyway. But just let the go-to drink be water, because that also has a tremendous curative effect on anxiety. Now, is it anxiety or is it intuition? This is a big question. So what you do is you name the fears that I told you, and then you place your hand on your heart and you say, my intuition says, and then just fill in the blank over and over again for about 2 minutes. My intuition says. If you wait too long, you're not in your intuition, you're back up in your intellect. My intuition says, boom. My intuition says, boom. The quicker you are, the more accurate and more actually it will be your intuition. Sometimes we have anxiety because we are getting intuitive thoughts that we're ignoring. Your intuition is saying that's not the right person for you. That's not the job for you. You need to quit this job. You need to make a move. You need to end this relationship. You need to trust your vibes. You need to start that book. So a lot of that anxiety is just ignored intuition. That's why you do this, my intuition says, and ask, to calm my anxiety, what does my intuition tell me to do? And then fill in the blank, and you'll get some very clear instruction. Usually within 15 minutes. If you can't get clear, if you can't get out of your head, a walk, a shower, watch either a funny show or read a book that's entertaining, that has nothing to do with self-help, that has to do with, like, read a historical novel, read something to take you so far away from the obsession, the anxiety-inducing experience, that it resets your nervous system. And then sleep on it. and say, okay, if it's anxiety, it'll go to sleep. If it's intuition, I'll wake up with clarity. Because these two are very closely linked and we can get them crisscrossed, absolutely. So you want to be aware if you are an insensitive, empathic, inclined to be a hyper aware person, these are tools you need just for basic self-care. I don't know any intuitive, empathic person on the planet that is not having and feeling a tremendous amount of anxiety in the atmosphere. We just don't have to be sponges. My teacher taught me, and this is something we can do, observe, but you don't have to absorb. You don't have to let it run through your nervous system. So you also want to say to yourself frequently and out loud, everything's okay. Whatever arises, I can respond to well, I can handle this. Everything's okay. I'm okay. Everything will be okay. Whatever I'm challenged with, I will also be able to handle. That is your inner child's one that gets anxious because your inner child thinks, crap, I can't handle this. But you're not a child, you're an adult. I can handle this. You soothe your own inner child. I can handle this. Everything is okay. The sound of your voice is one of the most soothing things that you can apply to your anxiety. Your own reassurance. And then a final thing is to put on music. Some Baroque music, some classical soothing music. We don't need Beethoven blasting, the Ninth Symphony in your head because that certainly will get you worked up. But anything like Vivaldi or Beethoven, Bach, that's soothing and calm, resets and starts to get your breathing and your heartbeat grounded. Calms the mind. That's why this music is so powerful and enduring. And with all of this combined is just way of life tools for self-care, you will find that whatever anxiety arises, you can usually dial down and reset into clarity. Is it intuition or is it anxiety? You'll separate the two, get clarity, and then know you can make choices once you understand what exactly it is that's affecting you. So I hope this helps you. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Be sure you subscribe. I have lots more tools in my book, Trust Your Vibes, and a lot more in my book, Ask Your Guides, if you want to pursue this further. In the meantime, subscribe, tell your friends, leave a comment, and I'll see you next week. All my love.